When my father first returned home from his military service overseas, there was one story he rarely shared with anyone outside the family. Even among relatives, he almost never talked about it. Now, many decades later, he no longer minds people hearing what happened, though there are still certain details he prefers to leave out. During his time in service, my father occasionally worked as a tunnel scout, a soldier assigned to explore underground passageways that had been built beneath the jungle. It was an extremely challenging assignment that required courage, patience, and constant awareness. One day, he and two fellow servicemen were moving through a deep, underground tunnel. They expected to encounter hidden obstacles or signs of activity at any moment, but the passageways were strangely empty and unusually quiet. The darkness felt endless, and every movement echoed through the narrow corridors. As they crawled deeper underground, they began hearing something unexpected. At first, it was barely noticeable, a woman's voice. The sound became clearer as they continued forward. It seemed as though someone was calling out for assistance from somewhere ahead. Believing that a person might be in trouble, the three men increased their pace and followed the sound through the twisting tunnel system. Eventually, they reached a small chamber where they could partially stand upright. Inside was a simple table with a lantern still glowing, two broken chairs, and a heavy metal safe. Other than those items, the room appeared completely empty. The tunnel continued beyond the chamber, so they kept moving. Suddenly, the woman's voice stopped. A short time later, an unusual odor began filling the air. The atmosphere became increasingly uncomfortable as they advanced. Eventually, they entered what appeared to be the final room in the tunnel system. There were no more passages beyond it. What they discovered there left all three men deeply unsettled. The room contained signs that something very unusual had taken place. Objects were scattered around, and the scene made very little sense. Among the things they found was evidence that a woman had once been there. None of them could explain what they were looking at. The atmosphere in the room felt so overwhelming that they immediately decided to turn around and leave. As they made their way back through the tunnel, eager to reach the surface again, they heard it once more. The same woman's voice, the same distant call for assistance. All three men froze. They knew there should not have been anyone else in the tunnel system. They had already reached the very end and checked every area they could find. Yet the voice was coming from somewhere behind them, from the direction they had just left. A sense of unease quickly spread through the group. My father, who was moving at the back, kept glancing over his shoulder every few seconds. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was following them through the darkness. Eventually, they reached the surface and marked the tunnel as inspected. Over the years, my father experienced many unusual situations during his service. However, whenever this story came up, he always described it as one of the most mysterious experiences of his life. To this day, he cannot explain what he and the other two men heard beneath the ground that day. Whatever it was, the memory remained with him for the rest of his life.